Hello. Hello, everybody. Hello,
I need to
Chantel.
change my name.
Hello, Bronny.
There we go. Hi.
Hello.
Morning. Well,
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I have issues with these earphones that plug into my computer, so at least they're working. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, they are. They are.
Okay. So there were another two people I think that signed up for this, so let's just give it a few minutes.
Mm.
So Isabel and Ellison, I think, were also joining us. Let's just have a quick
Awesome.
double
I'm just
check.
having a bit of yogurt. I slept in this morning. I only got out of bed at 10 o'clock.
It's very nice.
Amazing.
I
I know
was
I'm
already
normally
doing
up
my
at like
yoga.
I'm normally up at 6:30, so it feels like it's like 9 o'clock in the morning now.
That's amazing.
Your
Lovely.
whole day is going to be like this. Hey, that's
I
lovely.
know.
You obviously needed it.
I must have, but it's interesting how the older I get, the less interested I am in sleeping in.
Uh,
In my
yep.
20s and 30s, it was like the best thing that I could do is sleep in. I loved it. I would happily stay in bed on a Sunday until 1 o'clock. But now it feels like such a waste.
Mm. Oh no. I know there's something about getting up early and the day sort of spreading along, but honoring yourself when you need the sleep is just as important. So, good on you.
Thank you. Otherwise, how's everybody been?
Ah, who's
Yes.
everybody?
Yeah. That's in the universe. We are part of. Yeah.
How have you been, Chantel? I haven't
Uh,
seen you for a week.
yeah. I know. Isn't that amazing? I was actually thinking about it this morning and going, oh, this time last week, we're just about to, go. Well, not, yes, about to go to your
Yeah,
launch. And
Bronny's launch. Oh my God.
yeah.
It's a week
Oh,
ago. I was all getting dressed up at
I
this
know.
launch,
It was so
getting
lovely. Really was so
no,
lovely. I
it was
actually did
so
a drawing
gorgeous.
this. I drew a card this morning and it was a beautiful card. It was the goddess of perfumes or something, goddess of it was 30. It was just
Oh, the
lovely.
perfume path or whatever.
Oh,
Yes,
yes, how beautiful. So,
she's
You have to
she's
get yourself
actually
some aromatherapy oils.
oh, we've got aromatherapy oils, candles, uh, incense, lots of things for smells. So I went, as soon as I'd written this, I went and lit a candle and I lit some incense.
Stunning.
beautiful. The smell is
Gorgeous.
so amazing. They've done studies now on rose oils. Rose essential oils increases white matter in your brain. Um,
Oh,
how amazing that is. Sniffing
I
it, just
know.
having it, you don't have to actively like walk around sniffing it. You just put a little bit on your collar, and as
Mm,
you go through your day, you're building white matter. And I
that's
have
amazing.
some rose oil, but they're very, very strong. And it's the Ludwig's rose oil, and I don't know how they've
Oh,
isolated it. So I'm not sure that I want to, just in case there's something not so nice in it. And then I checked to see how much the doTERRA rose oil was, and it's like 2,000 Rand for a
yeah,
tiny box.
yeah.
So I'm gonna
Yeah,
have
can you
to find
imagine all
some.
those roses that you have
Yeah.
to get to make that oil?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I
And
do
and
want to
nothing,
find
It's
it.
like so precious. Hello,
there,
Alison.
there is somewhere we must actually have a look. I'll ask Matthew because he knew someone that does essential oils in Forest Town, and they may have
Hello,
rose
Alison.
essential oil.
Oh, please let me
And
know,
it's
Chantal.
all it's all absolutely it's pure. So
Hello. Oh, wow. I'd also love to know about that.
yes,
That would be
yes.
incredible. And Isabel. Hello, Isabel.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
Alison.
Hi. I,
Hi.
I think
Hi,
that's
Isabel.
it. I think we're
Hello.
now a full house.
Yay.
So welcome. I'm going to just jump in. I know we've already started. Going to do a little welcome and then intro, and Bronny's also going to do a piece on her. She's going to do an intro to the elemental goddess process, hey, Bron?
Yeah.
Yeah. So really what I wanted to do I wanted to sort of use these Zooms just to figure out, like, meet each other, really, and just to sort of see where everybody was at. Like, Isabel, you've disappeared.
The
Anyway,
internet is not great. I just want to get my laptop, maybe move over to my
okay.
laptop. Okay.
So yeah, just to sort of get everybody on board and just sort of make sure that there are questions, maybe there's, a process of setting intentions. There's a lot to do when going to a site like this. There's a lot of information. So I thought actually maybe we could just start introducing ourselves. I don't know if everybody knows each other. And maybe just to say, like, what in particular interested you about this retreat? What is it that you're sort of interested in and hoping to get out of it? And also, like, do you know anything about the site? Those things I'd be interested in. So, you want to start, Chantel?
Oh, yeah, so my interest really coincides with me coming into this year and my focus being very specifically on women in midlife, and working with women in the transitions that happen in midlife. So not only menopause, it's just, a whole lot of stuff that happens in the second part of our lives, which can get us to a place of real passion and purpose, which maybe before we weren't able to do because we were so focused on everybody else in our lives. And so this really spoke to me in terms of the goddess, the woman, the divine feminine, and really didn't even go into it in incredible depth. I trust Amanda, I trust where you're taking us, and obviously trust where Bronwyn is going to take us, having being exposed to her story and what she's doing with her cards, and really just open. Also, my journey this year is to do things for myself and to do things myself and to connect with others. So last year was very much a period of like descaling, getting rid of a whole lot of stuff that we've done before, and it ended up being in a space where I felt quite isolated and alone. And so the journey this year is very much to connect with those people who I'm able to converse with on a deeper level as well. And so this was the opportunity to have that as well.
Okay, lovely. Interesting to take a theme of menopause. So in a way, because you know the calendar and the site, do you know about it? It's a seeding.
Mm,
It's a
Yes, I
seeding
don't know a
portal.
huge amount. I mean, obviously, you did say, Bronwyn, on Saturday about it being a place of the divine feminine rather than, a place, the sort of place of of masculinity. So yes, there is a link as well.
Okay, divine. All right. Alison, do you wanna go?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Alison. I think the only
Hello.
person I don't know is Isabel. But yeah, my kind of interest in it was just the fact that it was quite fortuitous and magical the way all of these things came together. Because I'd been wanting to go to Adam's calendar, and my friend Di, who's coming along to the retreat, she went there recently, and I I really wanted to be a part of that
Okay, I
trip,
didn't
but
know
I
that.
just couldn't. Didn't tie in with my timing. And um, her explanation of her experience there was quite magical.
Oh, wow.
Um, she went on a tour there with a guide. I don't know who the guide is. It's an indigenous person of that area who took one look at her and said, you are important to the space. He said, he didn't say that to anyone else on the tour, but he said there's something about her that's connected to the space. And I've been to places that I felt were very spiritual and very I don't know if any of you have ever been to Spitzkoppe in Namibia. The Spitzkoppe are it's probably the most incredibly concentrated spiritual energy that I've ever felt anywhere.
Oh, wow.
Without even knowing anything about the gates or any of that stuff. I'm sure that is a gate. But having heard about that, and another friend of mine who stays on a farm near Waterfallwerf and had been to Adam's Calendar as well, speaking about that area, and because it's also where the wild horses are by the Tops of Hoop.
Yes.
So I've been wanting to go to that area for a while. So all these little pieces kind of came together. And yeah, I mean, and it's all of you beautiful women. So I'd love to know more about it. I don't know much about it.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to the whole process. I think it's going to be amazing.
Yay, that's exciting. So I'm going to give a little bit of an overview today about the site and stuff like that. But like there is just such a huge amount of information about it that you could honestly do a lifetime study on it. It's very vast. So I'll just drop some ideas in. But it's a great pilgrimage. It's a wonderful spiritual pilgrimage site, and we're quite lucky actually, to have not very far away from us, such an interesting, powerful, it's Stargate actually. So cool, Alison. Isabel, are you there, darling? She disappeared.
I'm
There you are.
here.
Hello.
I'm not winning with the laptop, so.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I just feel a deep calling to be there. I've been there before, and it is it's an amazing place with amazing energy. And I look forward to being there with a group of women who shares the same journey, and who I can connect with as well. Like Chantal said as well, that resonates with me a lot. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think we're probably all in menopause. I would be surprised if nobody is not perimenopausal in this group. So that'll be an interesting. I would be so curious to do that work.
I'm way from it. I'm no longer in menopause. I'm post-menopause.
Are you?
Yeah.
How
No,
old are you?
I'm 61, so
Okay.
I'm a little bit further down the track than most, but I really resonate and I know the space. So yeah.
Okay, it'd be interesting to see how that goes. Bronnie, tell us
Hi.
about what brought you even. Like I know you've said your story to us at your launch, but maybe there's something you want to.
So actually,
add.
Amanda has been talking about the calendar from the get-go. Because she has this deep connection to the calendar and she's worked there so many times, when she saw the goddesses, I think two puzzle pieces came together for her, I think, and she started speaking to me about it then. So what I didn't really mention at my talk is that I was quite atheist, really, when I had my experience, and woke me up to the fact that there was something beyond the veil. I always thought it was just some kind of science that I didn't understand yet. And so Amanda's been very helpful for me in kind of introducing me to spiritual themes. And so she started speaking about the calendar, but it was very remote for me and I didn't know much about it. And then in 2024, we went up to Pilgrim's Rest. And on the way back, I said, let's go to this place, the calendar that Amanda keeps talking about. And we just drove into Waterfallboven, and the Stone Circle Hotel was closed. And so we asked the locals how to get there. And obviously, we couldn't get there because it's an hour away and you need to go with a guide. So we just went to the stone ruins, which are around the corner, which we're going to go to on the Sunday. And I felt profoundly moved. I went into some kind of, I now recognize these things, a little bit of a trance, and I did my whole little ritual around the circles. And that sparked an interest for me. And then one of my students, who I'd been teaching at that point, this was because this was 2024, she came back from the calendar and she said, Bronwyn, I've just come back from the calendar. She went with, I think Alison Dye must have gone with William, who's the other guide, Indigenous.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I recognize the name, yeah.
And she told me the most insane stories about the experiences that she had. And it really sparked my interest more and more. And Amanda and I we worked together for the whole of 2025 doing the goddess constellations in order to be able to do this retreat. So I've been doing a little bit of research, but it's kind of organically coming to me. And I'd been reading Slave Species of Gods, that's Michael Tellinger's book, for a while. But it's kind of, I find that I'll be, people will just randomly mention it to me. Or have you been to Adam's calendar? Or do you know about Michael Tellinger? And all of these things suddenly started layering up. So I started really looking at the synchronicities. And I've been having experiences now in my scrying experiences, mostly actually not the scrying so much as palming, which is when you hold your hands over your eyes and you just really go into that deep, deep yin space. That this is a very important feminine activation. I have a deep obsession with the yin. That's that dark void. That's pure matter. That's the plenum. They tell us that space is a vacuum, but it's not. It's a plenum, and all potential exists in the void. And so I go into the void, and it keeps telling me that there's a divine feminine activation happening. And the closer we get to it, the closer I realize that the calendar is part of it. It isn't all of it. But it's very important for us to re-spiritualize these parts of the world with the goddess energy, with divine feminine energy, because we're getting to a point where there's going to be balance. And so we're doing a rebalancing activation at that point, which is the way I see it as a kinesiologist. You're always working with the elements. You're always working to find the single point of correction. Isabel will tell you that it's normally a yin point of correction. That's the feminine. And so I see it as almost an acupoint. The calendar is a very powerful acupoint. It's going to be an acupoint that we're going to be therapeutically balancing by doing a 5-element healing at the site. And doing that elemental healing with goddesses, with women, is kind of washing away a little bit of the patriarchy so we can allow for that balance to come. And I might be a little bit too abstract, but I'm drawn to this almost on a soul level. And it's difficult to put it into words, but that's why I'm going.
Yay. So where to start in my story with the calendar? Sure. So I am a student of Ramtha, and that is a teacher, an ancient teacher that is channeled by someone called J.Z. Knight. And I've been a student of Ramtha's for since 99. So what would that be? 27 years? So, and Ramtha teaches a lot of things. And one of the things that I got taught early at the school was about the Annunaki. and what is the true history of humanity, not necessarily like a biblical version. So where is truly Eden? What is the true origin of the species? You know, what is the Genesis story? And I heard a couple of talks in my first retreat, which is in 1999, about the Annunaki and this group of beings that came from, so the Annunaki means those that come from the heavens. And apparently this is just a very crude summary of what I understood happened. Anunnaki came from another place. They were kind of on the run, you could say. I think something had happened to their planet. I think their planet was in disarray and they needed gold. So what they did is they set up a base on Mars initially, and then they came to Earth. This is 500,000 years ago. And they found that Earth had a lot of gold, and they decided they wanted to mine here. But there wasn't a lot of slave labor. So what they did was they took the DNA. So this is one side of the story. Like I said, it's a very entangled, convoluted, long story. But one side of the story is that they took some of their own DNA and they started a Genesis project to start splicing it with the DNA of what was the beings that were already on Earth. So there was like a Homo erectus like level of being. And they basically took those beings and did genetic work and then created like a hybridized format, and up jumped the species to move from Homo erectus to Homo sapien. So this was in order to mine for gold. Okay, they wanted slaves, and there were factions in Anunnaki. Like one side of it wanted, just the slaves, and others were like, you can't do that. You can't like abuse, creation like that. You should really be creating free, benevolent beings. And so anyway, they started this Genesis project, and it was a very big thing. It was many different species from many different civilizations that came over time, over a long time. And like I said, with many factions, wanting different things. But they did create the missing link that they wonder where it comes from. Well, this Anunnaki group is the missing link. They did this genetic work to evolve the body that souls were occupying. And so one of the important things when you hear people talk about the Anunnaki is that they were sort of seen to be the gods, And one of the people that speaks a lot about it is Zecharia Sitchin. So Zecharia Sitchin's work kind of chronicles a lot of this stuff. What are those tablets called? With all the
Sumerian tablets.
Sumerian tablets, yeah. The Sumerian tablets chronicles a lot of this stuff. But Sitchin's dates are totally out. So they speak about, trying to safely say it's like 75,000 years old. But no, it's not. It's 500,000 years ago that this happened. And there was civilization before that. So the earth has been occupied for millions, of years. So what was important about what I became interested in about this Genesis lab was that apparently one brother, there was Enki and Enlil, and then they had one. So one was established in the north, like in Babylon, like Babylonia, and then one was in the south, and that was apparently where we are. And in Zachariah Sitchin's books, he talks about Deep Abzu as one of the sites. And when you talk to Credo Mutwa, for example, about where is Abzu, he says, well, it's here. It's this site. This is Abzu that we are in. So, so what they needed to do was they needed to create, imagine they're now making hybrid species that haven't ever been on Earth before. And it's a whole kind of galactic project. So they need a lot of things. They set up mining colonies, and they need energy as well. So Michael Tellinger has been looking into, what are these stone circles? Are they galactic landing pads? Like we think. Michael make a lot of jokes about, he thinks, you think it's the Stone Age, but actually it's like one of the most sophisticated technology. And these stones some of them are actually bones and fossils, but they were used in such a way, so they're information keepers, and they are also teleportation devices. They are energetic, vortex holders. There are a lot of things. So, so what was important was that these two brothers had a sister, and she was known as Mammy. And she had a number of names. Her other name you can find her in literature is Ninhursag. And she was a geneticist. She was one of the central geneticists of the project. And Mammy was the mother of the human race, you could say. And she gets left out of the literature. So I was, ever since I heard about the site from Michael Tellinger, and I didn't know about the site when I was first taught about the Annunaki at my school in '99. I didn't know about the site, but I did know about the Annunaki. And so when Michael Tellinger started his book, The Slave Species of the Gods, he started to write that in like 2005 or 6, something like that. I was like, oh, I know about that, I know about that. I was so excited. I feel I knew more than he knew, actually. And he thought he had just discovered it. And oh my God. Anyway, so my mom and I were living in Melville and Fifth Avenue. And because we both at the school, we had invited him to come and give a talk, his first talk ever on the book at our house in Melville. And it would be fabulous to actually find that date. And so, yeah, you can see it's like a very long story. So when I first started going into this content, and I had heard about Mammy, I realized that like nobody talks about her. She's the mother. She's why we're in Mama Africa. She's the one. She's the mama. And when I also went after one of the visits to the calendar, I went afterwards to Credo Mutwa in Kuruman. He has a whole other story. I mean, he's really the record keeper of Africa and all this wisdom. And he speaks long and deep about the feminine in Africa and the power of the feminine in Africa. And he said that is a feminine site. You know, those are all, it's like it's the bowl of inception. It's, you know, the labia of the feminine. Those two stones look like this, you know, with a portal going into the earth. And he said, you never just enter straight into the site. You always do ceremonial work around the outside. And then once, you know, you feel that the site is ready, then you can enter, but with just unconditional love and appreciation and seeding of an idea that you want to send into the belly of Gaia. So that's a little bit of an introduction to the site and why the goddesses are, I feel, an important piece. And when you drive there, it's really exciting because you actually see the word Genesis root. You drive past it and you know that this is like ancient Sumerian times, putting together a whole different origin story. So what we're going to do is I want to use family constellations I did one very long ago when I first visited the site, and I did one with Michael Tellinger and his story and the Annunaki and the site. But so I want to do something more else like that with us there, but also see if we can constellate Mami and some of these, you know, alongside any other goddess that wants to come through and talk to her, talk to the site, our own, you know, our own aspects, higher selves, that kind of thing. So there's a little bit of there's one more point I think that I must make, is that the site became activated because it was time for humanity to remember its origins and to come full circle. So it's interesting that it's stone circles, and the stone circles are really put into the earth because they are information holders. So when you go to them, you actually get a transmission from the stones. And the inheritance that the Anunnaki left us with was that we are slaves, okay? And so what we've had to do, humanity's had to wake up and remember that we are truly not slaves, that we are in fact gods as well, gods, goddesses, you know, full sovereign beings. So the coming full circle and the awakening process has been, the calendar has been a useful marker to sort of help activate the remembering, you could say, remembering of the past, some of the stories, put it in place, and then remember, like, you know, we are no longer slaves. We are in fact full blown creators. So there's a summary for all of you. Anyone want to comment?
So I actually want to say that if you're following the news at all, you might notice that America came out with disclosure recently this year, really saying that there are craft out there, that it's now being acknowledged. Japan, France, and I think Australia and Canada have also made some sort of disclosure. So we're really coming to a time where people are admitting that these things are real. But I wanted to mention that you spoke about the route to Genesis on the way to the cradle. So there's always going to, not the cradle,
Not
sorry.
the cradle, yeah.
Sorry, to the calendar.
Cradle is after birth.
Yeah. So this is part of there's always going to be some form of messaging. I follow this guy called Jesse Michaels. His show is called American Alchemy, and they did a show last year, might have been earlier this year. They found all of these mummified remains in Peru, in these caves. These basically tomb raiders are going into these bizarre underground caves that they're finding and bringing out these bodies. They're fully mummified. Some of them are only tiny little things, like a foot high. Some of them are human sized. They look like humans, and 75% genetically human and 25% genetically something else. And they all have aspects of human and other DNA. So it's not just Africa that this happened. I think it happened all over the world. And that the place that those remains came from in the ancient Peruvian means laboratory for genetics and cloning. So it's interesting that we've gone through the last couple of thousands of years of them really erasing all traces of this, but all of the clues are kind of coming up all over the world. Again, I feel like it's an acupoint. It's acupuncture of the world. All of these points are raising their head for us to acknowledge and deal with. So I just wanted to add that there's a global move towards disclosure of our ancient history, our true history, which is happening, and we're part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very exciting. Anyone else want to comment or share or anything you want to say or bring in? No. It's a big topic and there's lots of angles and there's lots of, yeah. Let's see if there's anything else I want to say. I think, so we are going to have this adventure and it's going to be for each person to bring an intention and do a piece of your own work and adventure and sort of intentional seeding, you could say. And so, one of the things that, like I said, is important is the transition from feeling like maybe you're a slave to feeling like you're actually a creator, is being able to access the knowing field. So your own knowing, your own direct knowing. But we can all do that. We can all know. We don't have to go via anybody. We just have to be shown how to tune in to know. And so constellations is a great way for me anyway. I've used that. I enjoy it. A great way to access knowing. Bronwyn's work with kinesiology also taps into the subconscious mind, that the body is what would you call it? Like a intermediary. Like it helps you to access the body, takes you to the subconscious mind. So different techniques. And then also I think that the ability to not only know but see as well for ourselves. So those are some of the abilities. I think that we all have abilities that are coming online as well, coming back online, like wake up, ding, full blown, full blown everything. So yeah, we're just going to be supporting everybody with their knowing and their seeing. So before I hand over to Bron, I'm going to put together from some of my other, I ran something called a soul science conference at Adam's Calendar about, I think it was 13 years ago. And I've got a few really nice little videos that I made with speakers. So what I thought is, if anyone's interested, I'll just make a playlist of some of the people it was online. So it was, Lynn Buchanan was one, Micheal Ledwith. Micheal Ledwith is the most amazing individual. He was second in line to the Pope. He worked at Monmouth University in Ireland, and he just said, okay, I have to leave, basically, because the gaps, he said Catholicism was the god of the gaps, and he just said he needs these gaps to be filled. So he ended up actually at Ramtha's school, but he's got a very prestigious amount of information. And what was I going to say? Oh, he's actually the one that gave the first talk on the Annunaki to me in 1999. And he is one of the people that I interviewed in this series of videos. So I'll just share, there's like 5 different videos. Lynn Buchanan, remote viewer, he also is one of them. Adam Sussman, who's a homeopath. And do any of you know Adam through the remedies that I sometimes hand out? He's a fabulous alchemist. He also speaks there. He says, we are the Anunnaki. We are all of them. And there's a theory that in order to come full circle, you kind of have to come back as your creation in order to evolve it, and then you move on. So there's some interesting stuff there to talk about, to listen to. And yeah, so I'll post that into the group. So if anyone wants to, listen. So I'm going to hand over to Brownyn. She's going to do an introduction to the goddess elemental process, 5 elements.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to talk through it a little bit, but I think what I'll do is I'm going to post little clips onto the group, so that little short, quick viewable links, because my camera will be turned around, doing it in this direction, so everything will be opposite. So I just want to do a very basic overview of elemental theory in Chinese medicine. And wood is the first element of the elemental cycle in Chinese medicine. And wood is about birth and rebirth, Genesis. It's about creativity, and it's about it's new birth, new plans, new beginnings. And so I'm going to be posting these little videos, and I want you to think about the intentions that you're setting going to the goddess. I want you to think about what you want to heal, what you want to iterate into, and what you want to iterate out of, because we iterate all the time. In every single moment, we're actually upgrading. Our DNA is upgrading. You can literally recode your DNA in a minute if you want to, if you know how to. And so I use the 5 elements to do that, because the elements are really about carbon reality, this life, this simulation, if that's what you want to call it, this matrix. Every single religious tradition talks about some form of heaven and earth. And what is that if not, in computer speak, some kind of simulation? So if I do use that language, if it makes you uncomfortable, let me know. But because we can all understand computer speak, it makes sense to call it that. And so in this carbon reality, in this matrix that we're in, we can recode the elements. And so it's really about, an elemental healing is really about healing this world, this body, and all of our relationships within that on an elemental level. There are 9 wood cards. And if you've got the goddess deck, I want you to have a look through the goddess decks. Don't just draw cards. Look through your wood cards and find one that really resonates with you. Look at the names as well if you want to, but look into the goddesses' faces and find the one that speaks to you. And when you've got that, read the card and do the process and set your intentions for what you're looking to change for yourself coming to the calendar. Because what's going to happen is we're going to do a goddess healing on ourselves, which will be a goddess healing on the site. So it will almost be a surrogating for a goddess collective on a goddess site. So powerful potential to really remake yourself, to reiterate yourself, and to help the site to come back into that regenesis space. So Amanda chose the name Cosmogenesis very specifically. We just had completely blew me away. She asked me a couple of months ago. She wasn't feeling great, and she had this very important interview to do. She says, I know you're interested in physics, and I'm having this talk with this physicist. Will you come on with me? And halfway through the conversation, I realized that he'd just put out a paper that I'd just read that had blown my mind. So
And that's William Brown, and he's
William
incredible.
Brown. Amanda
He's also been to the calendar. He's done a lot of work there. He knows about it. He's very much a part of the greater awakening.
Yeah. So Amanda's kind of this beautiful, she's got this beautiful network to these really special nodes and people across the planet. And so he spoke about something that he works with in his practice called cosmomorphogenesis. Is that right? And so Amanda said to me
it's something to do with neuromorph.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, neuromorphogenesis. Sorry,
yeah.
Neuromorphogenesis. And she said to me the next day, I love that word. I can't stop saying it. Neuromorphogenesis. And then she said, that's it. That's the name for the retreat. And it's perfect because it's cosmogenesis. So it's the cosmic genesis. We're all going to be regenerating in this space. And wood is really the regenesis, the genesis element in the 5 elements, because what we'll do with the 5 elements is we'll cycle from wood to fire to earth to metal to water. That's where we'll go. We'll walk around the circle because that's the Sheng cycle. That's the Yang cycle, which goes outside of the element. Oh, whoops. What happened? Amanda dropped off. Okay, so can you all still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So we'll walk around the site and we'll go from each place in the site in the elemental cycles to set our intentions in each element. And then once we've done that, like she says, you need to do the ceremony around the site, then we get to penetrate the site. So that's a masculine cycle, the Sheng cycle that goes all the way around. The inner cycle is called the Ko cycle. It's shaped like a pentagram. And that is the feminine cycle. That's to set things in place so that you've done a healing, you've moved energy around, and then you're actually setting the energy in place in such a way that it maintains the right level of flow with the right level of control. So I've designed a whole process around this that we've been working with. We have done it already at one of the constellations, and it's going to be a much more intense and deep dive into this. So we're going to do on the arrival day, we'll do a little bit more setting our intentions and starting to really talk about them. And then on the day at the calendar, we're going to do the process. We're going to do a balancing process where we're going to correct the Sheng flow, and then we're going to correct the Ko flow on the inside. So the elemental healing is super important because you need to heal what's happening elementally in the reality before you can really go into any other aspects of it. So this is the first section of it is going to be the elemental healing with the elemental goddesses, and then on the Sunday I'm going to bring everybody a little photocopy of my chakra deck, which hasn't been made yet, but you'll all get a book, and we're going to do a chakra healing on the Sunday all together with the chakra goddesses. So there's going to be so many goddess aspects to this and so many healings, and I'm just super excited. I'm still on a high from last Saturday from being in that room with all of that energy, which just really was so powerful. When a group of women get together and hold hands around a circle, we're going to be changing the world. It's amazing.
Bronwyn, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
When you say, draw the card, like the card, and set the intention. Now, as you say, we are in an iterative process the whole time. It's May. The retreat is going to be in August. So would you want this particular process to happen just before the retreat? In terms of setting the intention going into the retreat? Just talk to me a little bit about that so that I understand that.
So I think how it's going to happen is I have already started choosing specific goddesses for us to work as a collective.
Okay.
So for me, in each element, there's 2 or 3 goddesses that are really the epitome of this is what this element stands for. So I'll choose between those, which will be the goddess we use as the collective when we do the collective healing. But I want each of you to have worked with your own goddesses before, so that that energy will come in on the day as well, because you'll have been working with the wood goddesses and the wood element, and you'll bring that with you into the circle. It would be difficult because if we end up with 10 people on the retreat or 12 people on the retreat, there won't be enough time to get to each person to do their own elemental cycle. So there will be, from each element, I will have chosen one specific goddess. I mean, the goddess that's on the cover will be the one that I use for Earth, for example, because she really is the epitome of the Earth goddess, the goddess of serene acceptance.
I think sorry. What I'm asking is just in terms of the preparation going into the retreat for ourselves. When you say come in with that intention, I could sort of do some work now, but it's not. But I'm in a constant state of flux and change over the next. So my understanding is that as we go into the retreat, so maybe the week before the retreat, just do that work specifically in terms of what the intention is around what I want to, what did you say, what I want to iterate into and iterate out of, in terms of the retreat process. That's what I'm understanding.
Yeah. So I think some of you will have burning issues that are with you now that will still be with you then, but some of you may have moved through something. Some of you may not know what you want to work on, but I'm going to just be posting, this is what wood is about. These are the goddesses of wood, which one resonates with you, and for you to just feel into that, and it can change. So you might realize when you get to the week before, I actually don't, as much as this goddess is wonderful, I'm not feeling that this is the direction I want to take, or I've done this healing, it's less important now, something else is more important. The right goddess will show up at the right time, which is why
basically practice now, right? Start practicing with the goddesses of wood. Is it just the wood element? We're
starting with wood. So I'm just going to do, during the next week, I'm going to do a couple of little quick clips, a minute here, 2 minutes there, just a little bit about wood to show people, to talk about what it means and what the intentions could be. And what the whole process is you'd start off in wood and you'd do the themes of wood, then you'd move into fire and you'd do the themes of fire with the goddesses that you've represented, what your intention is, how do the themes of fire impact the intention that you have, what can you leave behind and throw in the fire, what is left behind after the fire has burned, what is the pure essence of fire when everything else is burned away. When you come into earth is about nourishing yourself and looking after yourself. It's about grounding. It's also about the harvest. What is the harvest you want? How are you not nurturing yourself? How could you nurture yourself? Moving into metal, which is about guilt, grief, remorse, and regret. What are the things that are still holding you in place? How are you chained by old guilt, old grief, old remorse? To let go of that. Metal also creates structure. So once you've unbound that, what structure do you have left? What did you learn from that guilt and grief that has hardened you, that has forged inside you? And then you move into water, which is flow. Let's wash all of that away. Let's wash out what doesn't serve. When water is balanced, water is beautifully still. When water is imbalanced, water is about dread and fear and anxiety. And then you come back into wood, which is the next. So it's a cycle that you go through, and then you come back into wood and you iterate it by going into the control cycle with all of the new beliefs and setting that in place. And even that will change.
Maybe just because we're experimenting with new things here, we don't know exactly the timing. But maybe, Bron, would you think it would be an idea to lead everybody through, if they want to, like every week or so, like take people through, like if they want to, just through like a video clip, like an element all the way through, so that that's been done once round.
Yes,
and people can kind of work with their intentions once like that all the way through, and then so that we are ready. We're ready when we just in August, you know, when we're just about to go. That might be a fun, you know, it's an experimental sort of process.
Totally. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do short little clips so that you can just watch the little clip and think about what are your intentions in wood? What are your intentions in fire? And then at the end of it, we do the process where we walk. I'll do a video process where
It'll be
I'll
a nice way to clarify,
yeah.
like to help us clarify what we're bringing, you know.
Yeah. And also, like Amanda's right, everybody needs to know that it's going to be, obviously, it's going to be beautiful and playful on some level, but it's a very powerful site. And we have to hold ourselves and each other carefully, and we have to be grounded. We have to come in with the right mindset and the right intention. I'm sure, like I had a Kundalini experience, which was amazing, but because I wasn't prepared for it, it blew my circuits. You know, so I don't want anybody to have, I want everybody's circuits to be handling the amount of power that's going to be working through them.
But we want to just have fun as well.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody here will be birthing something new into their lives, you know? And so, I mean, it's nice that it's an all women's retreat. So and Bronwyn's also done a whole lot of work with water and psychic abilities and seeing, and you know. And I was laughing to myself, thinking, I'm sure we could have a Zoom in a bath.
Yeah, I'll do it in a bikini.
Yeah, we can have a swimming costume on, no problem. But we can get our bells and our smells and our. I'm sure we can pull that off.
I'm also wanting to do a scrying afternoon, scrying and tea leaves at my house. It's I started scrying in December, and it's been so much fun. So if any of you already have a quartz crystal, I know, oh wait, I've got them here. If any of you have clear quartz crystals that have some occlusions, so this is an egg that I bought in December. Can you see that it's slightly occluded? It's clear in places and occluded in places. This is my ball that I got from one of my students that I just am obsessed with now. And you can see there's quite a lot of occlusions here. And so the occlusions are, my mom gave me a glass marble. I can't see anything in it because there's nothing in it except a couple of bubbles. And you actually need the occlusions because they give you something to look at, and they create sometimes planes, and there'll be just shadows and light, and then you're able to look through that so that the things start appearing. I see movies in these things. I'll sit in the bath happily filling it up for 2 hours watching a full-length feature film in my crystals. And sometimes it's like a cartoon, and sometimes it's like photoreal. It's actually quite insane. I see all kinds of things, and it's the more you get into your crystal, the more you get to know it, the more you see, the more you experience. I know that if I want to know anything about Egypt, the Sphinx, the Lamassu, and the lion stuff, this is that crystal, and this is definitely much more about planes of existence and other dimensions and Mars. I now don't really let anybody else touch my crystals. They've become such a part of me, such an extension of me, that like anybody else touching my crystals would be like somebody pinching my nipple.
Your third eye.
Yeah.
Ron, and then what I think we did chat. Is my sound? It is on. I think we did say you would experiment with the tea leaves and stuff like that at your house, but then you'd also give us a little Zoom maybe next month. I think we did say that because everyone's here. So to bring that experience of sort of a little seeing intro.
Totally. That might be the one that happens in the bath.
Maybe, yeah, okay. So that will be
water is a living crystal, and it amplifies everything. So when I'm in the bath, just give it a try. When you're in the bath, well, the first way to do it, at first you must always make sure you ground and shield yourself, that you're protected, etc. But just palming. So you cover your eyes so that no light can possibly get in. And you lie there in the bath for a while, and you'll start seeing phosphenes, and you'll start seeing little sparkles. And then for me, I'll give you all my tips and tricks later. Then I eventually find a wormhole and I go through a wormhole and I go places with palming. There's lots of ways to see. We're just practicing opening our third eye. I genuinely, my visions have shown me that by 2030, almost all humans will have some form of telepathy. For some, it will just be a fear-based telepathy where they'll just be feeding that fear feeling all the time. But for most of us, it will be heart-to-heart communication. The other thing is really, Amanda speaks a lot about sovereignty. I've drawn Amanda in my second deck of goddesses, the goddess of the singing crown, because she speaks all the time about speak your truth, speak your truth, speak your truth. Because the more authentic we are, the more telepathic we become. Because if you're being authentic and not being afraid to be yourself, say who you are, speak your truth, then you'll be quite happy to let other people read your mind, because there won't be anything you feel you're ashamed of or you need to hide. Telepathy is pure, pure honesty. That's where we're going.
Stunning.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we don't need to go on much beyond an hour today, because that's more or less what we wanted to bring to you. I was going to give a little bit of an introduction to family constellations, but I think I'll save that for another time. I think it's enough of beginning intro information. Has anyone got any questions, like about anything, the accommodation, the food, I don't know, just anything?
Where are we staying?
Okay, I'll send the link so that you can
Okay.
see your chalet at the Stone Circle in Waterval Bronwyn, which is Michael Tellinger's place that he's built up over, a couple of decades, I think.
And do we bring food with, or is it all catered?
There's 4 meals that are being paid for in the price, so it'll be Friday night, Saturday morning. So it's going to be like brunch-ish. So Saturday, I don't know what time we'll eat on Saturday, but then we've got the full day at the calendar. And then Saturday night we'll eat when we get back, and then Sunday morning. Those are the 4 meals. But I would like everybody to bring snacks for the road, like little energy bars and stuff like that. Whatever
so
it
there's going to be
is, slabs
2
of
meals.
chocolate.
2 meals. There'll be like 2 meals per day kind of thing. So for lunch and snacks, bring those things.
Just 1 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the
for
traveling, do we have an idea of how many people need to carpool?
So we'll get closer to the time who wants to carpool with who. We just need to have enough cars that we can 4x4s that we can get to the calendar. So I and Brownyn will drive up together, and we'll just see. I mean, that can be done closer to the time. People can just, I'll put together some carpooling information. Any other questions for now, like just logistics? I always say go to Millie's as your first spot, your port of call, and go and buy trout pies, because Millie's has the best trout pies. And so you go there. It's about 3 hours to Millie's from Joburg. Go and get like 2 trout pies, have them for lunch and coffee and whatever, and then head to Waterval Bronwyn, which is about half an hour from Millie's. And so then you've had your lunch, and then dinner will be that night. And we haven't got I think we said to try, and we're going to start at 2 o'clock on Friday. If you can't by any chance make that sort of opening circle, if you can only make it a bit later in the day, you can just let us know.
Awesome.
Yeah. Any other questions? No? It'll all be answered as we get closer to our event, our fantastic pilgrimage. All right, cool. Well, lovely being together. Thanks for helping to open it today. All of you gorgeous, gorgeous goddesses, all of us. And if, like, just make it playful. Like if you come up with ideas and you feel like just starting with something, just do it, bring it in. Like, say we're going to Zoom on this and then we'll make it happen. Oh, the other thing which would be nice is to, they do have a bar, so drinks are obviously not included. So you can buy drinks and stuff like that there. But I thought it would be really nice for us to pack, if you do drink, like a nice bottle of Prosecco and something for the Women's Day mini pilgrimage. Because what we'll do is we'll have our morning together at the Stone Circle, and then we'll pack a picnic and we'll go to the Stones and we'll do some stuff there, some Women's Day magic. And then we'll probably go home from the circle, so we won't go back. So maybe some plastic champagne glasses and some things for a picnic in the Stones for Women's Day. All righty. Okay. All right. Big love to everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
So we're gonna put this into a not public file, just so that people who have the link who are part of our group can look at it, but it's not going out to the public.
You know what? I have to say, Amanda, I always think about you saying, it's the age of disclosure, so we actually shouldn't be worried. And so I don't get worried. It's just like if it's going to go out, it's going to go out. There's nothing to hide, but I know that there are many that do are
Well,
more.
Is there anyone else here that is stressed about it not being public? I mean, you can just make a public link and just send it to our group. That's all.
I'm cool with it.
Okay. All right. Big happies, lots of love, and we'll see each other next month. We'll do another one next month.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Lots of love.
Bye.